Welcome to S&Ps. Why Not Us, a podcast for the savvy sports fan. I'm Scott.
And I'm Peter. Oh, thank you. The people are excited. We're excited. A little context for the pod. The thing is, we get it. Who's ever your favorite team or teams, we know what it's like to be fully immersed and emotionally invested in sports fandom. On the pod, we're going to zoom into our teams, a couple of the same, a couple of not so much, and we're going to zoom out to the league level. We'll go coast to coast to touch on teams, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. I miss anything?
Yeah, hell yeah, we're going to have fun. I'd say only thing to add, we're both fans of the Mets and the Knicks. And maybe in football, I might like the team in blue, you might like the team in green.
That may come up later in the show, huh?
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Well, with that, let's talk about today's episode. We're going to get into the home stretch of the NBA's regular season, talk a little Jets and Giants ahead of the upcoming NFL draft, and celebrate a treasured broadcaster's final season. But we're leading off with baseball and the start, finally, of the 2026 season. So I saw something a few weeks ago that Sports Illustrated's Carl Rasmussen did, which was really good. It was a stress index tiers to kind of look at the MLB season with kind of levels of urgency by team. So we're going to start at the least urgent teams and work our way up. And I'm going to kick it off with teams that are listed as no need to rush. Teams on the board here: Minnesota Twins, Washington Nationals, Colorado Rockies, Cardinals, and the White Sox. I'm going to touch on the Rockies a little bit today. A lot going on, actually, in Colorado. New president of baseball operations, Paul DePodesta. As everybody might know, Paul was with the Moneyball A's, working with Billy Beane, went on to 3 other teams, Dodgers, Padres, and the Mets, and then actually to football. 10 years with the Browns. And now back to being called to the Rockies. Also, the ownership, the Monfort family. Dick's son, Walker, is now the president, more prominent with the team, and has really made a point to look outward for best practices, to bring in folks from other teams, to bring sort of new perspectives. So it'll be interesting to see how the Rockies kind of develop with looking at lots of new tactics with the squad. Moving on to Tier 4, we got let's see some progress teams. Marlins, Rays, Pirates, Angels, and the West Sacramento Athletics. I want to talk a little bit about the Pirates.
Rough start today.
They're 0-1, but I'm looking at the bigger picture. This fan base deserves a winning team, and I think the arrows are pointing up. 9 of the last 10 losing seasons, but actually a very encouraging offseason. 3 solid free agents brought in to the middle of the lineup. Guys you might have heard of: Ryan O'Hearn, Marcell Ozuna, Brandon Lau. Brandon Lau actually tried to do his best to win a ball game today. 2 home runs. And possibly a top 5 starting rotation, led of course by Paul Skeens, who certainly did not have the opening day he liked.
No, that's to say the least. Not even out of inning number 1.
No, but they did a very smart job of getting him out before the pitch count got to a level that would actually
he'll be fine.
Be a problem. So I'm very bullish on the Pirates. I think that it's actually time that they play meaningful baseball towards the end of September. And with that, let's talk a little bit about Tier 3. Who you got?
Yeah, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about the Texas Rangers. Yeah. This team hasn't finished above 500 since winning the World Series in 23. That's crazy. They've moved on from Marcus Semien. They've brought in our guy Brandon, run my butt off to first base, Nimmo.
Love him.
They've added Mackenzie Gore. So the expectation's pretty simple. This team's got to get back in contention. And when they do, it's going to start with their rotation. You've got the second best pitcher I've ever seen in person in my lifetime, Jacob deGrom. Side note, Dwight Gooden. And Nathan Eovaldi at the top of the rotation. That is a legit 1-2 Thunderhouse up top.
And that ballpark actually plays pretty pitcher friendly, so it really sort of suits that team.
Sure does. There's one guy that can still go yard, and that's Corey Seager. He's still the guy.
Just needs to stay healthy.
Just needs to stay healthy. And they've got a couple of young guns in the outfield, and Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford. So, I'm expecting big things from the Rangers this year. They've also added a new manager. Took home manager of the year in 23 and Skip Schumacher. So, thinking could be a low, around 90-win team and a real playoff threat.
It's a winnable, it's a winnable division.
It's winnable. Yeah. I think we're going to move up one tier, or am I doing one more in this middle tier?
Yeah.
It's because I can't believe they're here. The Braves. What the heck are they doing in the middle tier? This team's been good, feels like my whole life. What a franchise. But last year they really suffered. And 14 games under 500 and one-run games. That's a stat that could correct pretty quick.
Decimated by injuries last year.
Decimated by injuries, but the core is still ridiculous. Acuna, Riley, Olsen, Albies. These guys healthy? Top 3 offense. Ceiling could be number 1.
In addition to the Rookie of the Year, Drake Baldwin. Catcher.
Yeah.
Stud.
Now, pitching? Great question. They've got the guys, but do they have the health? That's what I want to know. Spencer Strider, that was some tough news coming out pretty recently. And the recovery time of him and a couple other guys are really going to be important for their overall season. But nonetheless, I am predicting that the Braves persevere and have a bounce-back season and are in it towards the end and are a threat in the NL East.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. It's hard to believe that they could have 2 seasons in a row like last year.
Yeah, that's just not the Brave way.
So I am with you.
Yeah.
All right. The Tier 2, called Postseason Run Required. So we got 4 teams here. We got the Brewers, the Tigers, the Cubs, and the Red Sox. I'm going to start in the AL with the Red Sox. Nice leap last year, 89 wins. I'm a big fan of the offseason, actually. Even with the loss of Alex Bregman, who was really the perfect player for that team in the clubhouse, on the field until he got hurt. But they pivoted pretty well. Pitching rotation, 2 strong additions, Ranger Suarez, Sonny Gray. 2 strong hitters as well. Wilson Contreras is going to play first. And a guy that Boston's going to absolutely love is playing at third base, Caleb Durbin. Kind of a very, very poor man's Dustin Pedroia. Doesn't have quite the power, but just an absolute ball player. And the pitching staff is really good. Garrett Crochet, arguably the second best pitcher in the game right now. Certainly not worse than third. And young talent coming up in that rotation. And then, of course, the rising young star, Roman Anthony, who is already becoming the face of that franchise. And I'm looking forward to sort of seeing a full, healthy season of him. National League, the Cubbies. Speaking of Alex Bregman, well, that's where he went. They were able to woo this winning player and leader, perfect fit for that squad.
Yeah.
Big trade as well for a very talented Edward Cabrera, coming off of injuries and things from the Marlins. And this division, NL Central, very winnable. Wild card last year. The thing here is we got key players in their walk years, so I think there's a good amount of pressure on Chicago to at least be playing, October baseball. So with that, we are up to the top. World Series or bust crew.
We've been saying it since '86.
Oh boy.
Why don't we look at our Metsies?
Okay.
Oofa, what an off season. I don't even know. More change than anyone would have anticipated. Pete Alonso oh my goodness, no longer there. Edwin Diaz going to the hated LA Dodgers. I mean, the cross-country rival LA Dodgers. Yeah. But key additions. We have Simeon Bichette. We got Luis Robert Jr. We got Freddie Peralta. A little rough today, but steadied out. And crosstown from the Yankees, Devin Williams brought in to stabilize the bullpen after the departure of Diaz. So really, I feel like you're going to get some solid hitting. They've improved the fielding, but shocker shocks, it's going to come down to the pitching. Can these guys be consistent? They supposedly have 6 people that could be starters. Can we get 4 solid guys going all year? This is the difference, I think, that will make either a great season or something that we suffered through last year.
Yeah. I'm pretty bullish on the team, which we're going to get to in a little bit with the predictions. I think David Stearns, a lot of Mets Nation there for a couple of months was kind of, sort of worried about the plan. Not so much me, more of a patient sort. And I think as we look now with where things netted out, this team is better on paper than it was at the end of last season, and it really there's the bells. Just wanted to add that really the key parts of this team I'm looking forward to watching is defense up the middle. This could really be something that's special.
That was the focus.
Catcher, shortstop, second base, center field. So with that and with some more solid pitching, the offense is going to be really good. It's probably going to be a top 5 offense. So with that, let's get into some baseball predictions. Let's start at the team level. And the question is, what team will have the biggest increase in the number of wins from 2025?
Yeah.
Who do you got?
I kind of buried the lead, or gave away the lead, so to speak. I got the Bravos.
Okay.
My goodness, again, 14 games under 500, 1 game decided last year. They've just got too much talent. They're going up.
Do you have a number of wins for them, or how many they're going to go up?
I feel like number of wins is around 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you got the Braves.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the aforementioned Pittsburgh Pirates. I do think that they are going to be playing meaningful baseball in September. 71 wins last year. I think they're going to win at least 13 more, so that puts them a little bit above 500, kind of hunting in a division that 80-something wins, high 80s is probably going to probably be a winner. Mm-hmm. So Pittsburgh's my team. Now, interestingly, as we do a couple of sort of Mets predictions that we'll keep track of during the year, I did say I was very bullish on the Mets, and I am. So win total for the Mets, I got it at 95. Now that would actually be 12 on top of last year, pretty poor 83 win season. And that would be 1 less win than the Pirates. So there you go. The 95 for the Mets. What's your number for the Mets?
I wish I could get that high. I really do.
Yeah.
You're the optimist, though. I'm going, and I'm still pretty proud of this number. 92.
Okay.
I'm going 92. That would be great.
And that's still probably a division winner at 92?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we agree on that. So we will mark those numbers. And one more little Mets thing I thought would be fun. A little home run hitter checklist here. So who are our top 5 home run hitters for the Mets? And we're going to go player and then the amount of home runs, and we will keep track of this throughout this season.
Yeah.
So who is in your 1 slot?
Well, if we don't have the same number 1, then I don't know what we're doing on this podcast, but I've got Juan Soto coming in at the big 4-0.
40 for Juan Soto. Okay. Yeah. I too have Juan Soto, and I went pretty aggressive on this one. Pretty hard for Juan Soto to ever win an MVP with Shohei, and I'll talk a little bit more about him in a bit.
Yeah.
But I do kind of think that he's going to have his career total year on the home run side. So I got 48 for Juan Soto.
48,
Yeah.
because he's happier in left field.
I think that the sort of the slower start for the first couple of months of last year is not really going to be a thing this year.
Yeah.
And he really does look pretty comfortable hitting the ball the other way in Citi Field. So I don't think it's too outlandish a number. Maybe a fewer walks as well. Let's see how that plays out.
Sure.
All right, number 2.
Frankie Lindor.
Okay.
Coming in at 3-0.
30 for Francisco Lindor.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Okay, I too have Francisco Lindor in the 2 slot. And I'll give him one more, 31 for me. It'll be interesting to see how kind of the power in the hand holds up after recovering from the hamate, from the spring.
Yes.
But I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to last too long. So we'll see how that power shakes out, especially in the first 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, of course.
All right, number 3.
I've got our catcher. Got Alvarez in this slot. And I got him at 23.
Big year for Francisco Alvarez.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, was on this sheet of paper before today's game. For whatever that's worth.
You have one. Francisco's coming up for me, but I'm going to go with another one of our new players in the 3 slot. Jorge Polanco. I'm going to put it at 30. Pretty big number.
Wow. Okay.
He hits the ball hard. The power is pretty legit. He hasn't been healthier coming into his season than this one. That is definitely going to be the key to kind of keeping him healthy and maybe some sort of rotation at first and DH. But I think Mets fans are going to love his overall approach and actually a big power year as well. All right, number 4.
Number 4, I have Luis Robert Jr.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've got him at 20. That's it. 20.
Nope. It's a reasonable number. Health will be a big key with this one.
Yeah.
But I get it. Here is my Francisco Alvarez. I think I was more aggressive even than you were. I got him at 27. I think this is the year for him.
Well, you got one today too.
Yeah, he's on the
same one.
He's on the board for me as well.
Okay.
I think that this is going to be the player that all Mets fans expected a few years ago, and you really saw it over the last 6 weeks of last year, coming back, playing through tough hand injuries, but really still making a difference, both mentally and just the overall approach. So I'm excited to see him. All right, last one, number 5.
Well, this is where I had slotted Polanco.
Okay.
So, my number?
Yeah.
20.
Okay, so you got 2 20s.
I have 2 20s.
That's fine.
Yeah.
My last guy here, I think Marcus Semien. You mentioned him before. I think 22 is my number for Semien. Okay. This is a guy who posts, who's going to play very likely 150 plus games. I think the pull power is still there. It's going to play well in the ballpark. So there you go. That's our 5, and we will keep track during the season. And we're going to move into storylines, which you want to. There's the bell. So why don't you lead us into MLB storylines for 2026?
Yeah. All right. There's so many. It's what makes this season great. Let's start with the LA Dodgers, who, on top of everything else, added Edwin Diaz and others. My goodness. Who do you got? Them versus the field.
Yeah. So it's pretty wild that they're actually predicted to win 103 and a half games, which is actually 13 more than the next 2 teams that are on the list. This is baseball. 13 just doesn't happen. 4 or 5 would be a really, really big number. Yet, it actually makes complete sense. what did they need coming out of the offseason? They somehow got through the playoffs with a very injured relief corps, and they get the best closer in the game. They also found a way to get the top free agent in Kyle Tucker.
Unbelievable.
Kyle Tucker in the 2-hole for that squad is just going to probably be his best season to date.
Sure.
And then, of course, we have Shohei. And if you've sort of been watching what's been going on lately, Shohei's talking a lot about pitching the whole season and pitching healthy.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a guy who has, pitched every 7 or 8 days since earlier on in his career, but he comes out of the spring, comes out of the WBC, and in one sort of start the other day, 11 strikeouts in 4 innings.
What if I said this to you?
Yeah.
What if I said, just hold your breath here. What if I said 50 home runs? And what if I said 200 strikeouts?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a good goal. I think
unprecedented.
I think that I think he wants to pitch at least 165 or so innings, which is really typically around what allows for ERA titles, but also what really allows for him to be in strong consideration for Cy Young. So we'll see how he does health-wise, how the Dodgers manage it. But this is a team with an embarrassment of riches, and there's no reason why they're not the prohibitive favorite, of course, going into the season.
Yes, all right. Moving to our next MLB storyline, we have a continued wave of young talent.
Yes, so going into last year, there were actually 28 players under the age of 25 that were in the top 100 on MLB.com. So going at the end of the season, 32 of these players who were less than 25 years old were also part of the All-MLB teams. That's 35% of the entire list that were actually 25 or under. The talent in the game that the players that come in are more ready, more skilled, and can make a difference more quickly. And heading into this year, we got some great debuts. For 2026, on opening day, we actually have 3 guys I want to kind of highlight. Kevin McGonigal from the Tigers, 21 years old, absolutely played his way onto the team in spring training. He's going to start at third base, play a little shortstop. He's generally considered the second best prospect in the game, and they're excited to have him on what should be a really good team. So that's saying something. J.J. Weatherholt, 24 years old, 5'9" as well, playing for the St. Louis Cardinals. St. Louis in a little bit now of a rebuild, but they are thrilled with where he came out of spring training, all the way to the point where he's actually batting leadoff for that squad, which is certainly saying something. Carson Bench for the Mets. Woo. Of course, what a debut. Homers on his first game in the major leagues today. And we just hope that he doesn't feel too much pressure and kind of just is a part of the team and can stay up. But
he feels no pressure.
Look at him.
Look at him. He feels no pressure.
No, he carries himself really well. The game is hard, but we will see. And what a great start for his season today. All right, and 2 likely guys coming up. Connor Griffin, the consensus number 1 prospect in the game, started off spring training with just 2 absolute moonshots. Is going to be a big part of the Pittsburgh Pirate franchise this year. Will probably come up before the end of April. So looking forward to seeing him. And finally, Colt Emerson, Seattle, 20 years old, number 9 prospect in the game. That's a really good team, but potentially with an injury or some sort of ineffectiveness, Colt Emerson may also find his way into that squad this year.
All right, moving on. More action in MLB's overall peaking popularity.
Yeah, so the changes in 23, particularly the pitch clock, as well as getting rid of the shift have been fantastic for the game.
Amen.
The games are at least 20 minutes less. Athletic infielders have a much bigger stake in the game. It's great to see. On the popularity side, attendance, 3 straight seasons, attendance has gone up. That hasn't happened since 2005 to 2007. So baseball is really in a good place. Add in the extremely exciting WBC, which just expands the growth of the game in so many ways. And baseball really is in a good spot.
Yes, and couldn't agree more. The only question is, will it remain in a good spot as it introduces the controversial ABS?
So ABS, looking forward to watching this all year. A few quick highlights, 12 Hawkeye cameras across the park. Hitters are going to have individualized strike zones. It's got to be a quick tap of the helmet or the cap, or vocally as well. A little bit of ump discretion on potential stolen base attempts. But it'll be a strategy thing, and it'll be an engagement thing also for whether it's the fans in the park or on television. So there's
what about the inevitable bench clearing brawl due to someone doing the system wrong or in a way that offends the other team? Come on, it's going to be great.
It's possible. I think we're going to, I don't really think we're going to be seeing managers getting tossed due to ABS.
We'll see.
But
I just don't know if it's going to be accepted like tennis. Tennis is the definitive replay system. Everyone, it's like, oh look, there's the shadow. It's over. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see, who is good at it and who is trusted to be good at it. And certainly, so far in spring training, catchers tend to have the upper hand here. Sure. A 60% success rate already in the spring.
They're watching carefully.
But when a pitcher does it, it's going to be really interesting because they don't have the best look, and we'll see which pitchers are trusted, if any.
Yeah.
But more to come throughout the year on ABS.
For sure. And our last topic here in baseball, the looming labor agreement deadline. Yikes.
Right. So, of course, there are storm clouds over this season coming up with the super team that is the Dodgers and how they spent in the offseason certainly doesn't help. So by December 1st, there will likely be a lockout, and owners will push hard for both a salary cap and maybe try to introduce a floor. The players have never gone for a salary cap. It's the strongest labor in sports.
Sure.
But we'll put that on the side and look forward to a great season, and we'll kind of worry about that when it comes.
Pulling into the NBA?
All right. So
the home stretch.
Let's change gears into basketball.
Yeah.
About 9 or 10 games left in the season. I'm going to kick it off with the Western Conference. I'm really looking at the top. Oklahoma City and the Spurs. Spurs are 2 back for the number 1 seed. However, they have the tiebreaker. And I would say that heading to the playoffs, it's pretty important. These are the 2 best home teams in the sport.
Yeah.
What a year for San Antonio to even be in this conversation so fast.
Yeah.
So that's first. And then, of course, you got the MVP race. A lot of conversation. SGA has been kind of in one spot, especially since he came back pretty comfortably. However, you got great competition with Luka, Wemby, and Jaylen Brown. And I would just say that Wembanyama, an incredible push. He was asked the other day what he thought about MVP, and he was pretty clear and pretty thoughtful about his game, defense being half the game, and is just a worthy candidate. And what Jaylen Brown has done to be a two-way player for a Celtics team that really wasn't expected to be in any contention whatsoever is extremely impressive. And then the last part is the Lakers. Lakers got hot over the last couple of weeks. They're now in the 3 slot. What will this team be like heading into the playoffs? They look pretty healthy right now. Will they actually be a real factor?
LeBron looks like he's 26.
It's incredible how he's been able to kind of keep his body in the shape that it is over all these years.
All right, let's quickly look at the East. The Pistons are the 1 seed, which is kind of insane. 2 years ago, worst team in the league. Now they're in this one hole, although obviously big injury to Cade Cunningham putting things in doubt. Couldn't happen at a worse time. It's really unfortunate. And then you kind of move into the battle for the number 2 seed between the Celtics and our Knicks. It's super tight. The Knicks have the tiebreaker, which could be huge. The Knicks are playing really well, although Boston last night put a number on Oklahoma City. So, I mean, both teams kind of doing their thing. We'll see how it goes. And I mean, that's really, for me, like, that's what you got to look at in the East.
Yeah, the battle for the 2 and the 3, and I think, if we put on a Knicks hat for a second, they definitely so far have a Pistons problem this season. So, assuming that Cade Cunningham can come back, hopefully healthily for the playoffs, that's what you want to see. Really important to kind of hang in that 2 or 3. And this Knicks team has actually been a particularly strong home team this year, better than last year.
Yeah.
So if they somehow can find their way into that 2 hole, potentially looking at the tiebreaker, going right down to the wire, and we'll talk more about it, the playoffs, next time. But I think the 2 hole for this squad would be a very big deal.
Excellent.
All right, we're gonna move to a little bit of football. We're gonna talk a little Jets and Giants ahead of the draft.
It's essentially our Super Bowl. This is our most exciting time of the year, the way it's been going lately. Get excited. It is time for improvement, we hope.
Yeah, certainly with my team, with the Jets, as always, it typically starts with quarterback. Geno Smith for next year, which I think is a really actually nice story surprisingly that Geno's back for this season. So I think that's a steadying force. And now as we get to the draft, there's just a lot of conversation with the Jets' second pick at number 16, and would they consider quarterback? Alabama's Ty Simpson just had a pro day. I will say that I have a bias against just a quarterback, doesn't matter who the quarterback is, who just has 15 starts in college. I would feel more comfortable having missed out on the number 1 pick at this point if we had a quarterback that had just played 2 college seasons, for instance.
Sure.
It's just more tape. It's just more everything. So that's my bias at that slot. However, Ty Simpson is going to get a private workout for the Jets, I think, this weekend. So more to come on that. And I just wanted to add, what a very impressive job that the general manager for the Jets, Darren Muji, Darren Muji, as it's become, has really done over the last, since the middle of last season. He's meticulous. He's prepared. He's value hunting. He's tactically striking to overturn our roster. And now the Jets, in the next 2 drafts, have a real opportunity actually to dramatically improve their stake. And we'll talk more about the draft in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we will. I'll touch on the Giants. And, for me, first thing that I have to say is, oh my goodness, what were they doing at the end of the season? Just winning meaningless game after meaningless game. They actually had a legit shot at number 1, worst case number 2, and then they put together a win streak. You guys are killing me. Having said that, we are where we are. So we're at number 5. We're going to build around Jackson Dart. We have John Harbaugh in as our new coach, and I would love to see a lockdown defender, a Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs. Will those guys be available now that we have fallen to 5 in the draft? Hopefully one of them. Otherwise, we'll see. They sometimes talk about, adding receiver help for Neighbors. They also talk about trading down in the draft and stocking up with later picks. This really could take multiple directions, but I'm hoping one of those 2 guys that I mentioned is still around and we just grab them.
Yep. Ohio State, 4 guys potentially right near the top.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I'm with you.
Right.
All right. We're going to move into 2-minute drill.
2-minute drill.
Where we're going to start with a little bit of March Madness. We're running into the Sweet 16 kind of as we speak. I just wanted to look back for a second to the Florida-Iowa game. The last possession of that game was incredible. How Florida really wanted to foul, to potentially cause 2 free throws, which would be no worse than a tie, and then potentially win it in overtime if that's the way it went. Iowa able to make a great pass, fly down the court, set up a great look at a 3. The shot was made.
Unbelievable.
Incredible moment. But even more than that, the game itself, Iowa really beat Florida at Florida's game. They were stronger inside. They controlled the scoreboard most of the game. And it'll be interesting to see how Iowa does going forward, because this is just an incredibly well-coached, well-prepared team.
Absolutely. Speaking of Iowa, I mean, up against Nebraska in a Corn Belt clash. These guys met earlier in an overtime game, and now they're playing for a trip to the Elite Eight. It's pretty exciting, stuff. But at the end of the day, most people think that the real action out of that bracket will come from the Houston, Illinois winner. That's kind of going to be, I think, the decider for who ultimately moves on to the Final Four. And then in terms of tomorrow's games, I mean, we've got to look at the all-time heavyweight favorite in Duke against my St. John's Storm, Red Storm. That I almost went by the old nickname. It's old habits die hard. But back in the Sweet 16 for the first time since '99, that hurt to even say. But and now they're up against the best of the best. So we'll be watching intently and hoping for great things to happen.
Great job by St. John's to be in this situation.
Yeah.
Also wanted to mention just one particular player, Darius Acuff of Arkansas. He is just mesmerizing to watch. The game looks really slow for him at guard. Going to be one of the top 3 players in the draft, and it'll be interesting to see how he does against a really good Arizona team.
Yeah.
So that's a great matchup to see whether he can kind of will that team to play competitively and have a shot at winning. So let's transition a little bit
College hockey.
to college hockey.
College hockey. You know what's funny about college hockey? They start essentially right at the same place. They only take 16 teams. So, boom, if you're in the tournament, you've made it to the Sweet 16. And that tournament kicks off tonight. And, what to say about it? You've got Cornell playing Denver in the first round. I think Denver's going to be an extremely tough out. And the other thing really that I'd be looking for in the tournament is Gavin McKenna at Penn State, who could be one of the top stars and one of the big names on showcase during the tournament. The last cool fact is the Final Four is in Las Vegas.
Oh my
Frozen
goodness.
Four, so to speak, in Las Vegas. They've turned from the desert to, hosted a hockey team where every game sells out, and now the Frozen Four in the desert. I mean, I think that sounds like an awesome time. I wish I could be there.
It does. Las Vegas has become a sports capital
Yeah.
of the world in every single way.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about, as we touched on earlier,
Yeah.
we have a tribute.
We do. It's that time.
Howie Rose has said this will be his last season behind the mic for radio for the New York Mets.
Yeah.
We both have strong feelings about how Howie Rose has impacted us listening to ball games. What comes to mind for Howie for you?
I mean, first of all, what comes to mind is how blessed we are as Met fans to have had iconic announcers through our lives. I mean, we're not going about Murphy, Ralph. There's so many guys that have just been a pleasure to watch on TV, to listen to on the radio. Howie Rose continued that tradition, obviously, in spades. He was fantastic, great announcer, and by all accounts, a great person to be around. And, I guess for me, the last thing I'd say about Howie Rose is, as a diehard New York Rangers fan, Game 6 against the Devils, it's arguably one of the top calls in the history of New York sports, maybe right up there with the Giants win the pennant. And Matteau, Stefan Matteau. And the Rangers have one more hill to climb, baby, and it's Mount Vancouver. The Rangers are going to the finals.
I wish I was a Rangers fan.
At that time,
For me, Howie Rose, especially the last few years, I have enjoyed nothing more than beach days on a Sunday, specifically taking the phone and listening to Mets baseball away from television. Howie Rose continues to just be at the top of his game. He started just doing pre-post in '87, a little play-by-play, to TV for 7 years, and then to radio, which I really would love to go back to, because Gary Cohn and he were partners, and I can't even really remember them as a crew because, I would have been more focused on television, but I'd love to go back. And then the radio lead since 2006. So I think it would be wonderful if the Mets can go pretty deep. He can put it in the books quite a bit, and we look forward to kind of his season for the whole season.
Absolutely. Good luck, Howie. All right.
So with that, it's time for our PS, where we wrap things up with a rotating topic away from the field. Today we're selecting a Mount Rushmore for supporting actor in a TV show.
Whoa, left turn. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, and I'm the P, so I get to kick it off. And I actually went chronological. That's kind of where my brain went. Starting off with Norm Peterson, Cheers, the best in so many different ways. Norm felt like a good friend for me for his entire 11-year run. I even ended up writing a college essay that featured Norm and talking about friendship that I would love to be able to unearth. And I went back and actually looked at some of the intros when he came into the bar, and I picked one I wanted to read.
Oh.
This is from season 1, episode 7. Coach, another fantastic character, leads it off. "What's the story, Norm?" Thirsty guy walks into a bar. "You finish it." That is a small example of Norm Peterson. All right. Who's your first Rushmore?
All right, my first Rushmore, I had a different methodology. I took my 4 favorite shows and picked a guy from each show.
Yeah.
So coming in, and the first one's a little bit funny, but and you'll see why. The first one, Better Call Saul, which will have some overlap with number 3, of course. But we're gonna take Jonathan Banks as the great Mike Ehrmantraut, and what can I say? I mean, his speech to the wife Stacy about how he's responsible for her husband's death in Better Call Saul. Oh, fantastic! His speech to Walter White about half measures in Breaking Bad, also iconic. So my number 4, Jonathan Banks.
Well, so that's our first match. I will, since you mentioned him, I will jump in and I will sort of work my way back. Mike Ehrmantraut, just you couldn't take your eyes off of Mike in that show, in either Breaking Bad or in Better Call Saul. For me, the facial grimaces, all the scenes where he's pop actually with his granddaughter, fixer, problem solver. You sort of rooted for Mike to kind of work his way in that show. So we are on the same page. So I will now go into my third. William Bunk Moreland, The Wire, Wendell Pierce. I had to go back and take a look at some of his best scenes, and you know what he is? He was always funny. He was flawed. He was deeply human. He was always principled about his job, and just another character that you were engaged with, and you just wanted to sort of root for his journey throughout the show.
Absolutely, and I gave him a long, hard look. Let's put it like that.
And
fantastic pick.
And I will just add just a little bit on Wendell Pierce. If anybody wants to see more of the great Wendell Pierce, his role as Admiral Greer for Jack Ryan, which is just a fun show on Amazon, created by John Krasinski. He is wonderful, and if you just want a little bit more of all things Wendell Pierce, I highly recommend it.
Fantastic. I'm going to go with Aaron Paul, Breaking Bad. Obviously, almost the lead, but obviously not, because he was not Walter White.
Okay.
Jesse Pinkman, fantastic character, sensitive guy, cared a lot, huge sense of humor that would come out at times. I don't know. I don't even know where to start. I love that show, and I loved Aaron Paul.
Yeah, Jesse was a must-watch for all of his arc on this show. All right, so my last one, since we actually had the Mike commonality, I went off the board a little bit on the last one. Jonah Bird, Ozark, Jonah's struggle and finding his footing coming into that household at 13 was wonderful. He actually moved out, I think, at 14. So maybe not the most functional household to try to grow up in, and all of his scenes where, his scenes with his Uncle Ben, and just you wanted to see how he was going to navigate his way all the way through. I'm not even sure how much screen time he particularly got every season, but you definitely saw him grow up and find his footing. And I always rooted hard for Jonah Bird.
Okay, I guess that leaves me with 2. I'm going to say, so Sopranos is my second favorite show, and this is still tricky when you do it like that, but I'm going to say Christopher. If Christopher is played by anyone besides Michael Imperioli, I'm not sure how that show is the same. Obviously, there's a lot of iconic people and Gandolfini and all that, but Christopher just brought so much emotion to his character. I loved him, so he's in my number 2 slot.
Yeah, great choice. Didn't you actually go back and kind of studied Sopranos a little bit?
I have done. Yeah, I was sort of late on it. I'm embarrassed to admit, and but then I caught up quick. So I've done my share of watch throughs, but not as many times as I've watched The Wire, which brings us to number one. And this was my hardest one. I knew it was going to be from The Wire, my favorite show of all time. You picked a great guy. I'm going a little bit to the left here, probably not what people might guess, but I'm going with Wood Harris as Avon Barksdale.
Okay.
I'm going with Avon Barksdale. I thought he was an incredible crew lead. I thought he was an incredible foil to Stringer. I thought his speech in season one, a little slow, a little late, so good. He's schooling D'Angelo, so he would be not the mafia, but the drug lord that I would want to work for.
Well said.
Yeah, so there it is. That was fun.
That was fun. And we will see again going forward in terms of kind of what PSs we want to do, and so look forward to that. All right. Well, with that, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Until the next time, I'm Peter Olczyk.
And I'm Scott Greenhut. Make sure to follow S&P's Why Not Us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player so you never miss an episode. And to find show notes and more, visit our website at whynotus.riverside.com. And so for now, I think we're going to say put episode 1
in the books.
In the books.